All right. We are now live. And as you guys know, I'm Janine, also known as DJ Eternalize. Um, of course, also next to me is.
Hi, I'm Nancy, also Nerd Girl 74. Nice to see you guys all again.
Yes. Um, Now, just so you guys know, with Fusion Pop, it's actually produced through Fusion Radio. So they're kind of combined, one in the same almost, but this is the podcast, unlike the DJs in music. But the talk today is Batman versus Joker. And what we mean by this is we're going to go by each live action Batman that we know. We each, will go over pros and cons of it together. And then at the end of listing all the Batmans and the Jokers side by side for each live action they're in, Nancy and I are going to let you know which ones we like the best, like the number one we think, and the number one with the Joker. And then we kind of will, go back and forth, see if you guys agree. Then on top of that, we will also um, kind of think about, what what would happen if those two were together? That Joker and that Batman we both put as our number ones. Because I know I'm curious myself. But I'm gonna start with two Batmans that we none of us other than who grew up in that generation knew about. So let me share the screen and show you the first one. Share screen. All right, we're going to do this one. All right, so as you see, oh gosh, that costume is like wow. First, there is Lewis Wilson. He played Batman in the 1904 serial of the same name series. So it was broken into episodes that would be screened weekly ahead of a feature film, usually ending on a cliffhanger. This encouraged audiences to visit the cinema on a regular basis lest they miss out on ongoing narrative. So this was like a in theater episode one. That's definitely
Wow.
different. But 1943,
Yeah.
that.
That's
Mhm.
like old school,
Yeah,
definitely.
you can tell with
I
the
didn't even know about
costume.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, the way they make the costume makes you think of like costume your mom made for Halloween, right? And then the second one that is the same way. Those ears though.
Oh wow.
That
Yeah.
one's at least better with the head part. But this was Robert Lowry, and um, it was a sequel called Batman and Robin. It was released in 1949, so it wasn't far after that. Um, Again, split into 15 chapters, um, and but has now developed a minor cult following.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
it's been re-released by Rift Tracks in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, those we have not seen at all.
Yeah. No, have
So
not seen either of those before.
we have no comments yet on those. um, but the next one, everybody should know Adam West. I mean, even if you weren't growing up during that time period, I mean, it was in 1966, but I remember in 1970, well, not in the 80s, it was big on TV too.
Okay,
Like,
you can still find it now in like
mhm.
um TV Land, those kind of stuff. You could and pick it up and stuff, Me TV, different places like that show reruns of it. And it's one of my favorites. It's nostalgic. I mean, it's campy
Yeah,
and it's not the Dark Knight like we have now, but it was awesome. It was good, wholesome Batman and Robin, and I mean they had some amazing characters on there, for the villains and stuff. And I still love it. I watch it now if I catch it on or something, or just I have it on DVD and we're trying to get it digitally, but just kind of put it on just to watch. It's just really, really good.
yeah, I love it too, and it's it reminded me always of the comics. You know how in the comics it would say boom, bang, and all that. And I'm like, this is funny. I was like, I feel like I'm watching a comic book, live comic book, instead of reading it. He was the very first Batman I knew, like before the movies actually started. Oh, excuse me, coming out. So, and of course, it said 1966. It was a TV show. But he was in a Batman the movie. Trying to remember if I've seen that one. I know I loved it. The complete pow, cliffhangers, and of course it was comedic. I mean, it just all comedy. It was lighthearted compared to a lot of Batmans now.
Yeah. Wasn't it? He always won in the end, and you knew he was gonna win. But you had those little cute moments with him and Robin, and the Bat boat and the Batmobile and the Bat cave, and it was really cool way to introduce kids and folks to comic books and stuff. But yeah, it's totally went in a different direction these days and stuff. Pretty much after that, like it goes in a different direction.
Oh yeah, it does, and it's one of those where, mm, you know, it was fun. Like I was a kid and watched it, and if you're a kid and you could watch something, that's a good sign sometimes. Um, but like some of the movies after that, I would not let my kids, if I had kids, watch that. Definitely not. That would be like, nope. But now, it's one
Like,
of those. Yeah, it's one of those where you definitely have a lot of differences from this one.
yeah, like that. I still love this. It has a special place in my heart for this one, and it like I said, it had amazing characters because this. I know we're going to talk about Jokers later, but I mean, just the Joker on this show, but I mean, all the characters, the Catwoman, Riddler, you know, it was amazing. Also, our Penguin, like
Yeah.
it was a really all star cast, and the villains made the show because I remember watching it when I was a kid in the 70s 80s, and I wanted to be Catwoman because I thought she was sexy as hell on the show. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I want to around, I want to be with Batman. Like, I want to be.
Oh gosh, in this series though, they had was it two or three different Catwomen?
Yeah, they're two different Catwomen because you had Julie Newmar and gosh, her name just I can see her face, but her name just popped out of my head.
And I'm
Oh
thinking in one of our future podcasts we'll go over Catwoman.
yeah,
And maybe Wonder Woman too. Put them together. Catwoman in a way was evil, but also got good in the end. But
it there's there's so many different depictions of Catwoman
yeah.
because she's good, but she's bad. She's
Mhm.
yeah, you kind of go back and forth on some of that. So yeah.
And then we have this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it definitely had a cool vibe. Now, of course, the Joker in that series was, let me get to him. No, not that one.
Caesar Romero.
I know there's so many. I wish they had. I love
Oh,
this.
there you go.
Uh,
That
oh yeah, okay. Monogam. Yeah. Let's see. No, wrong one. Oh, here it is. Caesar
oh, yeah,
Romero,
everyone. Yeah, Caesar
1966.
Romero did the Joker for that series, and oh my gosh, I mean, just that suit alone is iconic. I mean, it's amazing.
I love how Batman puts on these trunks to go surfing instead
Yeah,
of wearing the
they both
regular.
have trunks on. I don't know if you can tell
Oh
in the Joker. He's got the
yeah,
green ones over his purple
yeah.
suit too. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
in that scene. They're surfing on the out catching some waves together.
Hmm. Yeah, and he did a surfing, and that's why it's so funny. This series, they do surfing contests and other things. Um, his words as that Joker: "This life at best is one long practical joke." Uh, yeah, before the exploding cigar, and that was his definitely his takeaway. So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
quiet. Let me raise it up.
Eartha Kitt. Somebody just commented. Eartha Kitt was the other Catwoman. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, Earth again.
I could see her face, and I was like, I was kicking myself for not remembering her name. So I appreciate the comment because it was driving me crazy.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that.
What?
He refused to shave off his mustache when applying his Joker makeup on set, so all the powder in the world couldn't make Ramirez's lips look hairless.
They're still
Wow.
working on that technology. Just look at Justice League where they had to take out Superman's mustache for the reshoots. You can see it in the movies if you
Oh
look
yeah,
really close.
I saw
They
that.
still haven't figured that out.
But yeah, I thought he was a very fun Joker, like the comedic Joker, like
Yeah,
you would think.
definitely.
So, but he wasn't dark, but he was on that bad side. You know, you knew he was a bad guy.
You knew, yeah, you knew they were the villains. You knew they were the bad guys, but they weren't murdery bad guys.
Yeah.
They were robbing, like steal your money and take your wealth, but not murdery bad guys.
Oh yeah. And then we have, gosh, after that one, Michael Keaton Batman
Oh no,
in the 80s,
this
1989. Dang.
this is my heart. I seriously, and I think we talked about it last week's show.
Yes.
I remember when they announced that Michael Keaton, that's how old I am, but I remember when they announced Michael Keaton was going to be Batman for this. And
Mhm.
I swear, my first thought was Mr. Mom, because that's all I knew him from. I didn't go to the movies on the regular. I was a kid. I was a little kid. I was like, Mr.
Mhm.
Mom is going to play Batman? How is that going to happen? But
Yeah.
I love Michael Keaton. Love, 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 love Michael Keaton as Batman.
He could take on a role and just roll with it. I mean, if you think about it, he did Beetlejuice too, and it was like that's Michael Keaton, you know. But as Batman, I loved his Batman. He had that smoldering Bruce Wayne, like non-caring almost, but like still cared. Like he was inside himself. But then he also had that kind of quirkiness to him in a way. So I
Yeah.
mean, I loved how he was the Batman, and um, Tim Burton always is a great
Yeah.
director anyway. But it had some humor in it, you know. But it was still like dark enough where if you were too young, you shouldn't go see it. And
You know,
yeah,
I
mhm,
think they did a really good job of walking that line between too dark and too campy and stuff. Because you, this one does a really good job, I think, of that. You don't get a lot of that, you know,
yeah,
and stuff. But like I said, I think he did a great job as because a lot of times when you get actors, they may be good at Bruce Wayne, but they're not great at Batman, or they're great at Batman, but they're not good at Bruce Wayne, and they're not believable as one or the other. But
yeah,
I really thought Michael Keaton did a good job on both ends of the
yeah.
character. Like he played them to me. He played them differently,
Hmm.
and I think that's what you have to do. Like you can't just be Bruce Wayne in the bat suit. You've got to bring a different persona when you put the bat suit on. You know, that's why he has it, and that's why he changes. So I
Of
thought that was
course,
really good.
we have somebody who agrees.
Yeah,
And then we have this one. Yes, not quite as dark. It still had its dark, but it balanced itself. I felt
yeah,
it balanced itself more.
yeah.
So, yeah, I liked him as Batman. I mean, it was hard to see a better Batman after him. I mean, there's some that were close, I admit, but
I'm gonna say I think when we move forward a little bit, I'll have an unpopular opinion
of some of the others.
on some of them that people think are better, but I
Mhm.
might have a different opinion. But
Yeah.
it's my opinion. I'm not trying to campaign on anything. I'm just saying I might have an unpopular opinion as we go along. Although
Very
the comment I just saw, somebody just said Clooney was the worst. I totally agree with that. Like
yeah, right there.
he's
When
a
we
good
get
he's
to
a good
him, we'll
example.
probably see a lot more comments on that.
But I was gonna say he's a good example of what I was talking about before. He did okay as Bruce
Yeah,
Wayne. Like he was, I could buy him as Bruce Wayne. Horrible as Batman
yeah.
because there was no tonal difference in how he played those characters, and you really never felt like he was truly Batman. You just felt like he was putting the suit on.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
so I totally agree. Like Clooney is probably one of my
Kinda
least
kind
favorites.
of used that character just because he loved it and wanted to always be it, but didn't have a grasp on it for going beyond being like something he watched and
Yeah,
enjoyed. So, and then of course the Joker to that Batman, dun, 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 Jack Nicholson.
Jack, where does he get those wonderful toys?
I know, right?
Like one of the most iconic lines I think from that. That's awesome.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I loved his performance. You know, like Jack Nicholson always does well with dark and gritty, but also has that comedic sense to him. You
Yeah,
know.
you kind of, at least for me at least, you even though you knew he was the bad guy, you
hmm
kind of rooted for him because you're kind of like you wanted to see him. Like, what was he going to do next? What's he going to have? So he kind of brought that element, I think, to Joker, where you're kind of like, he's the bad guy, he's going to lose, Batman's going to beat him, but
hmm
kind of a little want to see him do okay and keep pushing Batman to his limits. So,
I agree. And
mm-hmm,
then he had the the gas that was always in comics, make you laugh to the point you die.
mm-hmm,
That was always my favorite from the Joker.
yeah,
It was like it fit, you know.
mm-hmm,
And then of course, he had the better one-liners. Oh yeah, wait till they get a load of me, and where
yeah.
get those wonderful toys. Oh, and one of my favorite parts is ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight.
He has some great lines in there. Yeah, definitely has some really good lines and stuff in there.
Yeah, and I also enjoyed when he's like, "Would you hit a guy in glasses?" I'm like, "Boy, does it piss me off enough? Probably."
Yeah. You're easy enough, yeah.
The glasses are just a bonus to cause pain at that point. But yeah, that part was always fun. And then I don't know, that was my very first Batman movie, and I loved it. I even loved Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, of course, but those two together,
Mm-hmm.
they even said they didn't know how that would work, and it just seemed to just like come together nicely with the movie. And that's rare to find sometimes, because sometimes you'll find where it just doesn't click
Yeah.
at all.
I think again it's one of those. I'll probably have an unpopular opinion later on with
Mhm.
some of the Jokers that we talk about, but
Yeah.
I think for me, Jack sets the bar. Like he defined that role as far as a live action,
Mhm.
kind of role. I think he does. He sets the bar really high for that.
Yeah, he really did. And like sometimes I wish to see how, I mean, even though Mark Hamill was in, what was it? Was it the Flash one or Supergirl? One of them as not the Joker, but the
He's Trickster in this
Trickster.
in this
Yeah.
TV version. He does
Oh, he's
play a
great.
plethora of Joker characters. He is
Oh yeah,
on
all of them are
animated
amazing.
series. He's in a lot of the video games,
hmm
and he does a great job. If you're looking at voice actors, it's
Yeah.
playing the Joker, and he does a really good job of there in the animated series. There's an episode where Mark plays two different characters. He plays the Trickster and he plays Joker, and he plays them completely different. Like to
Yeah.
do that as a voice actor, that is just amazing. Which I mean, we all know Mark's great anyway, but
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's Luke freaking Skywalker. Like we know he's awesome at what he does,
I've
but
always wondered if they could ever like if what he would do if he was ever a live action Joker though. I mean,
yeah,
the Trickster, yeah, he was great at that, but it was different. But as Joker, seeing how he was a trickster, I'm like, that'd be interesting. But
Mhm.
so far, Jack Nicholson, I mean, he's definitely up there, especially for the dynamic with the comics we were used to and the dark but the comedic kind of balance.
Yeah, and
Uh,
this is about the same time where the comics are starting to get darker too. So we're starting to get things a little darker in the comics and stuff. They're trying to take
I
away.
agree with that.
Mark Hamill is great. Yeah.
Yes. Would love to meet him in person. Hey, if
Uh,
we could ever get him on here, that'd be awesome. See what he thinks. Okay.
He might. He's pretty agreeable. I don't know. We
Oh,
can.
well, I wonder who his favorite Joker is. That's what I'm curious about. But yeah, I mean, this was a great movie. I thought
Yeah.
1989. You have to admit the 80s were fun anyway.
Oh yeah. I
They
mean,
weren't too serious at times, and they tried to have fun with the movies.
that's why every movie nowadays is a remake of something from the 80s, early 90s.
Yes, so many of
Well,
them.
here's Val Kilmer. Ooh.
Yes. Um. Yeah, Batman Forever. As they said, they wanted. It looks like they wanted a more kid-friendly route. And Keaton didn't return, so Val Kilmer got casted. Um, Batman Forever, like the Batman and Batman Forever, was. I mean, I liked Val Kilmer. He had, as you said before, he had the voice. He had the voice. He kind of had that Bruce Wayne smoldering um, inside his head, like Keaton, but he took it to another level to a point. And then when he was Batman, it was mm, I don't know. The Batman, the voice was good, but I don't know about him being Batman, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was I okay, so
Hmm.
unfair to him is I have this theory. You never want to be the guy that follows the guy, or you never want to be the woman that follows the woman. Like,
Yeah.
so Michael Keaton came out of nowhere and was like, "Wow," and then you're the guy following the guy that kind of set the bar. So you're kind of like, it's a
Hmm.
letdown already. Well, not a letdown, but there's high expectations going in. And I swear, for me, when I saw this movie back in the '90s, again showing my age there, I was in high
1989.
school, but when I saw this movie, I kept picturing his character from Top Gun, the Iceman or whatever it was. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Iceman.
And I couldn't get past it. I'm like, you're the bad guy. We don't like you. Like, you can't be the good guy in this movie and stuff. And I think one of the comments were before was about him being in Tombstone as Doc Holliday. That was another good role for Val Kilmer. I don't I don't think the bat suit fit him well. It's not that he's not a good actor. He is a good actor. I just don't
Yes.
think the bat was the right character for him. And so
Yeah.
I struggle with, and I think it went a little campy, like you said. They went a little more kid friendly and kind of campy and stuff. And so the storyline they gave him to work with wasn't the best. So I think there were a lot of things working against him
Oh yeah.
before he even got in the suit, much less when we saw the film.
Yeah, and the whole thing with that one too, like, yeah, I had its silly moments and I had weird moments, but like even with Two Face, that Two Face was not the Two Face I was picturing. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones is also a great actor, but and then Jim Carrey, I thought Jim Carrey, the Riddler, was definitely him.
That
Like,
that dude, I think Jim Carrey was a great cast for the Riddler. I think that's
yeah,
a really great
but
role there for
they
him.
just, they just, I felt it was almost thrown together to a point.
Hmm.
Like some other ones that kind of just plop a little bit. I mean, it did good, pretty good in the theaters.
Oh yeah, I mean at
But
that time, I mean if you were a nerd, you were living for these
oh
movies
yeah,
because you didn't
they,
get a lot of other things.
hmm
This is the generation before it's cool to be into all this stuff. So you're like
hmm
you're whatever you can get your hands on, and whatever at the theater that they're acknowledging you as a culture, you're going to go and see. So it's going to do well at the box office just because there's so limited. Yeah, definitely Jim Carrey's good casting
I
too.
think out of everybody in that movie, Jim Carrey was the only one that was casted correctly.
In the right role, yeah.
I mean, seriously, it was like Two Face. No, Tommy Lee Jones can't. No, no. I can't think of anybody back then that would have done better though. Even though, well,
Um,
who, who Billy D. Williams? Which one was that? I'm trying to remember who Billy D. Williams was.
Billy D's Star Wars.
Um,
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my nerd card. Oh my gosh.
oops.
Oh my god, my husband's probably like rolling, like he's dying in the other room because I can't remember Billy D's character's name in Star Wars. Oh my gosh.
Let's see. Yeah, Billy D. He was uh la, 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 la.
Lando.
Yeah,
Lando.
Lando.
Yeah, Lando Calrissian. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to change my name to just Girl 74 instead of Nerd Girl 74 after that. And I've met Billy D before. Oh my gosh. You'd think I would remember who he plays.
Well, he came back with the most recent one too, didn't he?
Yeah, in the last installment you get Lando back and stuff.
Oh, he was Harvey Dent in the first Batman movie, wasn't he? But they didn't really focus on him. I think that's why it was kind of fleeting knowing he was Harvey Dent. But yeah, they could have continued with having him if he wanted to continue. I don't know about him being Two Face though. Impossible. Well, he was Two Face in Star Wars. Betrayed his best friend. And made the
Nah. He
correction.
has a redemption arc in Star Wars.
Yeah. He's working on it. It's gonna take a while. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now that I know who he is, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, maybe.
But I bet
I have
it
to
was
see
probably
it.
a timing or casting or money thing
Mhm.
where they couldn't bring him back to take the role and stuff for some reason. Because why would you not want Billy D to come back in there in that role if you can get him?
That's true. And then, of course, there wasn't a Joker in that one, but let's see. The next Joker we'll go into is not that one. Let's go with Jared Leto,
Oh
Suicide
my
Squad.
goodness, Suicide Squad. Oh, I'm gonna say though, I like Suicide Squad.
Me too.
Again, I know it's not a popular opinion, but I did not like this Joker interpretation. And it's not that I don't like Jared Leto. I like him in a lot of other things. I just it was uncomfortable to watch him play Joker. He took it into some weird places, I think.
Okay. I will say, based on the Joker and the comics and the animation, no, that wasn't Joker. But if Joker was modern, if the new Joker came about, I could picture him.
Hmm.
That's the funny thing. I could actually picture him as a modern Joker with everything that's around us. And I thought, like with the scenes we saw, yeah, he was dark and he had that laugh. That laugh, I think, did it.
Well,
That was
I
a
think
pretty good laugh.
what I'd say, like I think Jared's a good actor,
Hmm.
um, and stuff, and does really good with that kind of stuff. But I also, um, I think he's very much like he gets into any role he's gonna do, and
Oh
he goes way into that. And like some of the stuff I read about and heard about that he was doing off camera to kind of stay in character and to get the other people in character, like I said, it was just a bit disturbing on a whole different level.
yeah.
And I get where he's coming from, but I don't know. It was something about it that for that role and for what it was supposed to bring to that movie, it missed a beat for me. It just didn't
Well,
hit home.
like it said, he was more of a side character anyway,
Hmm.
which I think if we were able to see the full Joker, we could have gotten more of a sense of him. I
Hmm.
mean, what we saw, as I said, just made me think of if there was somebody who called himself a Joker in today's day and age, you know,
Hmm.
like just came out of the woodworks and he's like, I'm the Joker and I'm messed up in the head and I do these crazy, disturbing things for fun, you know. But yeah, he's not my top Joker. I mean, no, not at all. He's just it was. I have to admit, it was fun for Suicide Squad, But well, later we'll go into the Joker for this time period that worked. Well, I think it was more for the 70s. It looked like, but you know what I mean, like more
Yeah.
for
And
later.
this is kind of your first take on a modern Joker, like you said, set in the certain current times and stuff. But I mean, just honestly, we were all at Suicide Squad for Harley anyway. Like
Yes,
everybody else was a side character at that point. And the movie did
agree.
take some. It took some weird twists and turns that I think hurt itself kind of out of the gate and stuff. But
Yeah.
I know they're making another one, and a lot of recasting has been done. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that, and kind of if we get another glimpse of Joker in the new one, and who
Sure.
plays Joker in that one.
And the funny thing I think is too, Joker usually was a part of a lot of even other characters in the animation. Like for
Mm-hmm.
some reason he was in the background helping out at times. He wasn't in all of them, but there was moments where the Joker came out. So I was surprised they didn't have Joker kind of doing something else ready for the next jump in, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah, with that, it could have been done better. Here we go.
Clooney,
George Clooney. He was okay. I mean, I think it could have been better.
fat
Um,
nipples. That costume. Oh my goodness.
yeah. And then they had Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. I liked Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, but
I was glad to see they had Poison Ivy because a
yeah,
lot of times you
they
don't.
haven't met her yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Mr.
was nice to have
Freeze
Poison Ivy
was,
there, but
I mean, they
I
had
had
the
high hopes for
stature.
that.
Yeah, they had the stature of Mr. Freeze. I'm- I love this. Is this what you were talking about? The costume?
Yeah, well, I was talking about the nipples part, but yeah, it had the bat belt. Like it was kind of like we're gonna mold and modify and not leave anything to the imagination to make sure you know that
Mm-hmm.
Clooney has all this stuff. But no,
Yeah, they kind of did the same with this one that they did with the Val Kilmer one. Tried to make it um for
too much.
family kids, and it was just like it's oh wow, it became a cult hit. Yikes. um, but to me, I George Clooney, I would say he was more Bruce Wayne than a Batman in that one.
Yeah,
Kind of like Val Kilmer was.
yeah.
Um,
I
I
would
think
totally agree with you on that. Like I think he does a great Bruce Wayne. I don't think he brought anything to the Batman character, unfortunately. And again, I don't dislike George as an actor. I don't think this was the right role. I think,
yeah, and
and like we
then
were talking about Mr. Freeze, I was expecting more from Schwarzenegger on that too, and it just seemed like that fell flat too. Like there was something I remember watching them at the time, and I liked them more than I do now. But I think I was watching them with a kid's mind
yeah,
versus now I'm looking back at it and I'm like, I'm kind of jaded, I guess. And I'm like, why did
yeah,
I think that was cool?
yeah. There's just something about his Batman that didn't pull me in too
Mm-hmm.
much. But as I said, Uma Thurman, I liked her as Poison Ivy, but like the other one too, I felt it was kind of rushed where they could have done more too to make it
Mm-hmm.
better. But I'm
Like,
still surprised it became a cult hit. So, but I mean, there's so many more Batmans than anything, and it's like just pick one and keep it for a while. Well, there is one they kept for a while. That would be our next one, but
mm,
nope, that's not. Well, I want to get back to him with the other one that's connected to it. Well, oh, okay, here we go. Well, Heath Ledger is with the upcoming Batman, so we will do. Here we go. Here we are. 2019, the most recent Joker, Joaquin Phoenix. And let me tell you, this one blew my mind. I was like, that's Joker. Because he wasn't always bad.
I love this movie, and I will tell you, I was so excited when I heard the casting for this one and Joaquin was going to do it because I was like, oh my god, if anybody can do it, he can do it because he's just that great an actor. Like I just love him.
Yeah.
And when I went and saw this movie, okay, it was a whole experience for me with this movie because we had issues at the theater that brought back memories of other movies and just
Mhm.
different things. But they told an original story that I just loved it. And I mean, I can't give enough love for it. Like this movie was just amazing. Like it's hard. It's hardcore and it is dirty and it's gritty and it's mean and it takes you to places, but it does it in a way that is it you're rooting for Joker at the end of the movie. Like you're like, no wonder he went bad. Like I wouldn't have been able to get through all of that if it
He
weren't,
snapped. I
if
mean,
that stuff happened to me, that I would not have survived. And so he's
mm,
doing the best he can out there. So like you have that weird mindset at the end of the movie where you're like pulling for Joker, even though you know you shouldn't, and
yeah.
you know he's not doing it right, but you're still kind of like,
I mean, because he was bullied. I mean, if you think about it, he was really bullied. I mean, that's messed up. I mean, I grew up with some bullying too, but not that intense. I mean, he even when he grew up, he was still bullied just because he was different. And it's like nowadays, different is good. You should embrace it. You don't
oh.
want everybody to be the same.
And it's like
And
how much was real and how much was in his mind and how much was,
mm,
like when you watch the movie, like at the end, you're like, okay, well, what was a hallucination? What was real? Like,
yeah,
what, where did the line really, was he imagining these things were going on or were they really happening? And like some of the stuff, I don't want to do spoilers. I don't know if people watching us have seen the movie, so I don't want to give away spoilers and stuff.
yeah,
But I will tell you that storyline with him and um, the Wayne family, oh my gosh, blew my mind. I was just
me
like, what
too. I
if
was like,
what if
wait.
that's really why? What
Mhm.
if that's why these two hate each other so much, or why he hates him so much? Not so much why Bruce Wayne hates him, but why he hates Bruce Wayne so much. I'm like, I applauded the originality of the story because it was not the same old story we usually get of Joker. It took us in a new way and a new direction that disturbing, but still gave us something to walk out thinking about.
Disturbing indeed. But I have to admit, we got to see his story too, because sometimes it doesn't always show the story. Like the first Batman, Jack Nicholson, he's amazing too, but what we saw was, he was kind of a bad guy at first anyway.
About the businessman who something
Yeah,
bad happened to and he became a worse guy.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't get details.
yeah. And mentality wise, this one made more sense.
Yeah.
Um, And I mean, it gets to a point where, yeah, you get hurt so much, you snap, it- you're immune to feeling like,
Yeah.
oh, I shot him. Okay, sweet. Okay, who's next? What? Okay, no.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute. We can just stop there for a second. Wait a second. But it was like all these things have been put in his pathway to kind of push him in this direction. And like you said, like nobody stopped to say, hey, let me help you. Like the people who were in his life that were supposed to help him made it worse or just weren't there at all. And then with the mental illness and the different things that he was suffering and the disabilities and the things, it all just kept compiling and compiling to where
Yeah.
I don't want to say he was a sympathetic character, and I don't want it to take that way, but you came to understand Joker's story, and you kind of he wasn't evil just for evil's sake. He was made this way, and
Mhm.
if we'd have put things in place to stop or to get him help or to get him treatment or to get him, if somebody really had loved him or if he'd had a family that cared about it, like it's that nature versus nurture argument. Like what could have
Oh, yeah.
stopped it, or was he always destined for this kind of path?
Mhm. I know. It's crazy, like, to think what could have stopped it. I mean,
Yeah.
his mom didn't help. His works, like people at work didn't help. Nothing helped him.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I'm hoping, I have to admit, I'm hoping that they actually continue this into bringing others in and then showing Batman come into play.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
know they're
I
doing a
would like
sequel
that.
to this. They've already said they're doing a sequel to this and have the writer and Joaquin everybody signed on. So I know we're getting another installment of this version of Joker. I don't know. I haven't heard what's going to be as far as the storyline or the characters, or if we're going to see anybody else from the DC universe with him. But I know we're getting
It'll be
more.
good. I think it'll be good to continue and then lead into all that, like all that coming in, and maybe even broaden it because this could. I mean, with him as the Joker, they could do a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, they
yeah. I
could
mean,
do
you've
a
just set the
lot.
stage with this movie. You've set the stage. You can really you have so much you can do and stuff. So yeah, I think that's yeah. I think you're right. They have a lot of space to go with this one.
All right, now Christian Bale for Batman. I liked him. He was Batman, a bit of Bruce Wayne, but he was Batman to a point. You know, he was the dark Batman though.
Hmm.
You know, he was definitely the dark Batman when they start going into Dark Knight and all that. In 2008, gosh, and then 2012. I mean, I loved those movies. I thought after the Val Kilmer and George Clooney, we needed that.
Yeah.
We needed something to be like, oh yes, finally.
Let's see. This is where I have the unpopular opinion because
Yeah.
I didn't like Christian Bale. I mean, I was there. I paid the money. DC got my money. I was in the theaters and I saw it and I own it if I ever want to watch it again. But I just I agree 100%. I think he is the epitome of Batman in this movie. Like he nails Batman. I don't buy him as Bruce Wayne. Um he's too mopey for me for that. Like he just
Yeah,
I
he
just
was. And he
I
was
thought he was a little
evil.
too
Yeah.
dark for that.
The whole
But
thing with him meeting Catwoman, I have to say, number one, that was rushed because all of a sudden they're in good standing after a while, and it took a long time. She was a bad guy for a long time for a reason.
mhm,
So, I mean, but I loved how, you know, they brought in other characters like Bane,
mhm.
and that woman, I guess, was supposed to be Poison Ivy in a way, but she did not, yeah, she did not speak to me in that.
You know, and
Uh,
I know people love these movies, so I'm not trying to take. I don't want to take anything away from the people that love these movies. It just wasn't. It wasn't my favorite, and it's not because it was dark either. Like I like dark Batman. Like I like it when they take him to dark places. And one of
yeah.
my favorite Batmans is the animated, the Killing Joke and stuff. So
Oh,
I don't mind. I don't mind dark, but I he just didn't wasn't my favorite. So
he has the point right here. Jack Nicholson, great Joker, but Mark Hamill's voice is the Joker. Yeah, I agree on
yep,
that.
yep.
but
I can totally agree with that. Yeah.
but so far the only one who had both Batman and Bruce down is Michael Keaton. So I'm like, I wonder if they'll find somebody new who will actually do it.
It, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I know we've got a couple of new incarnations of Batman coming, and it'll be interesting to see how they
Yeah.
all come. I try to go into each one with an open
Oh, me
mind.
too. I even tell, like, some people are like, oh, it's not gonna work, da da da. But I've seen people that said, like, okay, Michael Keaton, people didn't think he'd be good because of Mr. Mom, and he blew it out of the water. You know, I mean, there's been somewhere that happened, like, oh, it's not gonna work, it's gonna be horrible, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh dang, that was better than I thought it would be.
And
Let's
I
watch
love
it
when that
again.
happens, though. You know, I love when that happens. But and I have that like when they cast Robert Pattinson, I was like Twilight Boy, like. And I think somebody last week
Yeah.
we mentioned it a little bit. Somebody last week's show was talking about Sparkle Bat, and like you have those immediate reactions where you're thinking, oh my gosh, how did they do this? But then, like, you know, give them a chance because obviously somebody saw something, and this is supposed to be more of a noir kind of take on Batman. So I mean, he can do it. I mean, until we see it and he proves otherwise, I'm going to say he can do it. And I'm like I said, I'm there for the money. I'm going to be in the seats, and I'm going to pay for the
Oh
tickets
yeah.
or whatever. If we ever get out of quarantine and we can go to movies again, I'll be there in the seats.
See, I'm gonna do drive-through until then. The drive-through theater or drive-in. Sorry, why do I keep saying drive-through? Drive-in theater. Okay, drive-in theater. I'm excited for because you're in your own space. You could lean back in your chairs. You have nobody around you, and eat and make comments and
You do
But
your own like mystery
yeah,
theater
so
thing,
I'm
rip
yeah,
track.
I'm excited to when I first go to a drive-in theater, and I haven't gone yet. As I told you, when I do, I'll inform people how I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been on my bucket list for a long time, so this has been coming.
We have
So
to let
yeah,
us know when you go and what you see and stuff because yeah,
oh, I
that's
sure
definitely an
will.
experience. I'm excited you're gonna get to do that. So hopefully
Oh yeah,
they get to
and
see
right
it too.
now, I think that is the best thing to do until all this goes away. Because that keeps you with the distancing and you
Oh, I
still
think
enjoy
I
it.
think it's a great way to kind of still be able to go out and see movies. I just wish they would release some of the newer stuff. Like I don't get me wrong, I love seeing the older stuff back on the theaters and going to see some of the older stuff in that way. But I
Mhm.
just wish there's so much new that was supposed to come out, and I'm just missing it. Like I just want to see like Mulan and the live action Mulan. It was on my wish list. I wanted to see, and
Oh, it's on Disney
um,
Plus right now for $29.99 to watch.
I don't, yeah, no,
You might want to wait till it's off
yeah.
that
I'll
to
I'll wait
get it.
until I
But
can get
right
it.
now, it's making really big money. So many people wanting to see it, so they're paying it.
Yeah. And I know they're doing that, and they're talking about doing that with Black Widow and some of the other movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to go down that route and talk about my uh, personal feelings on that, but that just, I
Oh,
already pay you for the subscription. You want me to pay you again to see something on your subscription? But
true. There is one movie on Netflix that Robert Pattinson's in with Tom Holland that I want to
mhm,
see because it's a different character than the Twilight. And
mhm.
he's done other ones, but I haven't found one that I'm like, ooh, that was good yet. So I want to see how he does in this because if he could portray something else other than really good sparkly vampire and I could see, okay, that is a possible good
Uh-huh.
Bruce or Batman or both.
And I'm
Then
going to tell
I'll
you
be
what,
like, okay, yeah.
for anybody listening, don't judge Robert Pattinson by Twilight movies because they were not well done. And I love the books. Like I read the books. I love the books. I was there for it 100%. I mean, they were quick, easy reads. I mean, they're not Shakespeare. They're not like great literature, but they were good, easy reads that were interesting. But do
Yeah.
not judge him by that role because those movies were not well done in so many ways and were
Mhm.
rushed to theater to capitalize on the popularity of the books that that is not a true representation of anybody's acting ability in those movies
No,
and stuff.
I
So
was.
so I try not to, but then again, it's fun to joke Sparklebat.
Now, this I'm interested in seeing because I haven't seen the epic rap battle of this Pennywise versus Joker battle. Hmm. I
If
might have to
you've
check.
never watched any of these, I highly recommend them. They're hilarious and they're so great. So definitely go check some of these out. But I haven't seen the Pennywise versus Joker one, so I'm gonna be googling that later. So definitely
Yeah.
gonna be going on my watch list later.
And I also like this Black Widow deserves a theater release.
I'm totally with that. I'm like, just wait because you're not gonna do these movies justice because you're gonna put them on
Yeah.
and you've already got to have a Disney subscription to see it. So that's going to limit your audience anyway. So I'm good. I'm going to get on my soapbox now. I said I wasn't, but I'm going to get on it now. You've got to pay for the subscription to be able to get Disney Plus. So if you're not subscribing, you don't even have that option. But then on top of subscribing to Disney Plus, you've got to pay more money to see this new release movie. That's more than you would pay if you went to the theater. even if even if there's a family of four that's going to be watching it, I mean, you're kind of breaking even, I guess. But I don't see where it's beneficial for the theater, for the movie studio. They're going to lose money. The movies are not going to get the audience they need for a while. It's just wait and bring it out when things are better, and people are going to go see it then because they're looking for stuff to go see at that point.
And bringing up the Joker, his his counterpart Joker, Heath Ledger, The Dark Knight, 2008. Now, I do admit it was sad that due to this, Heath Ledger lost his life because he had a mental breakdown and was doing drugs. But he was amazing. I mean, I liked his Joker, but it was that really twisted, dark Joker. And I understand if it got into his head.
And I feel bad for that. And I will tell you, this is, again, I told you I had some unpopular opinions coming when we got to the trilogy. I would have some unpopular opinions. I don't like him as Joker.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, because he died before the movie released, everybody watched it with a sympathetic of, oh my gosh, because he got into the character and it took him to some dark places and he made some bad decisions, and he lost his life for it. And I feel bad and I hate that, because I imagine what he could have done and roles he could have been in, because I did love him as an actor.
Oh yeah.
But for me, I think he's so overrated as Joker, because I think so many people watch it with that sympathy and that, oh my goodness, this happened to him in real life after this, that it kind of glorifies it in a way that I don't think it deserves. And so, like, unfortunately, I know I'm not going to be popular for that opinion, but I sometimes kind of watch it with a little bit of, would it be as good if he were still alive? Would people think it was as good if he were still alive? Or does he get the sympathy vote for some of that?
Honestly, I would still enjoy it, but I do admit the thing that got me about how he kept changing the story about how he got the smile.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of bothered me because the Joker, I mean, his death didn't affect my view, like as Sarge said. It didn't affect my view because I honestly saw it before I actually knew about the death.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not that person who watches the news on a 24/7 basis like some people, and I only saw it when all of a sudden Facebook started posting it everywhere, and I was like, "Is this true?" Um, but yeah, to me with this one, it was very dark, darker than some of
and,
the
and
others, and
and I don't want anybody to think, I'm not saying he wasn't a good performance. I think it's rated higher
mm-hmm,
because they're like, I'm not saying he wasn't good
mm-hmm.
as the Joker. I don't think he's as great as people
Oh, he's
say he is as Joker, because I just, I don't know. And that's my opinion. I totally know that it's unpopular and I'm in a minority of opinion with that, but
well, he didn't
I'm
have
my honest self here.
he okay, so he's a good Joker for the type of Joker he was, but the Joker, no, he wasn't the Joker for the fact that Joker was dark but comedic. Like he had that dark sense of humor, and he always had a sense of humor, but with his, he didn't have as much comedic lines, like something that would make you go, oh, haha, and then all of a sudden, wait, what? You know, it was more like his lines were always like, okay, something's wrong with you, dude. Go get help. Like constantly. And
His
the way
Joker fit with the Nolan
yeah.
story. Like it fit in the storyline of what they were telling, and it was a good character for the stories they were telling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I would
I
agree with
mean,
that.
because like for what they were going for in that movie, I thought he was a good Joker. And the way his mannerisms, gosh, that when he was in the nurse costume, that still like blows my mind. I'm like, that looks so wrong, and oh my god, you
It
know
looks so
how?
wrong, but so right at the same
Yeah.
time. It's like it's okay. I will
Oh,
say he for me he was the best part of that movie. I again I'm not a huge fan of the Nolan trilogy,
yeah.
and I'm not a huge fan of Christian Bale as Batman. So for me, he's the best part of the movie because I liked him as an actor and I liked the character and I get where he fit in there. And yeah, he had the line, "Why so serious?" Yeah,
Hmm.
so he did have one of those iconic roles that
Why
we
so
see now.
serious? And always, as I said, the lines where it always got me. Do you want to know how I got these scars? And it's either my mother gave them to me, my dad, oh, I did it myself, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the story kept changing, dude. Do you want to know why I use a knife? Okay, I don't care. Just get out of my face.
But again,
Oh my God.
I'm for any let's I'm so glad again I come from a generation where we didn't get a lot of nerd movies and you didn't get a lot of the geeky culture. You didn't get a lot of the comic books. So I'm there for it. So even if it's not my
Yeah,
favorite, it's still better than not having anything. So
right.
I'm good for that.
But with like me and you, we grew up with the animated series before the movies got really big, and we knew Mark Hamill as the Joker voice, and we have a lot. And, oh, we did the Michael Keaton. Here's one. Oh yeah, I forgot they changed him later, but David Muzaz Mikhail Modric from the Gotham series. I loved Gotham. I
I
have to admit, I loved it so so much. To me, it was Batman, like how it should have been, like going, like showing how Bruce Wayne, how he was conflicted. He goes dark, but then he goes back to, okay, I'm gonna fight the darkness and all this stuff.
mhm.
And the characters for Poison Ivy, Catwoman, all of them, the implementation of them, they picked really good actors for it.
I loved Gotham for the first couple of seasons, and it not that I didn't love it after that. I just honestly lost track of it, and I had so much going on and some other stuff going on that I haven't watched it past the first two seasons. But what I saw of it, I really thought they did a really good job of taking you back to the childhood and saying, let's see how we grew up. Let's see how these relationships formed early on and where they were. And I thought they did a great job with Catwoman. I thought that was great. I like Penguin. I think they nailed. I mean, that was oh my gosh, that was amazing casting. Um, I think they did a really good job on those. I wish I had seen more of it than I did.
Well, you could always binge watch it one day.
Yeah,
I think it's on Netflix. It's not on Netflix, it's somewhere.
and
But
I think it might be Hulu.
mhm,
Maybe Netflix or Hulu or something. I know it's somewhere. So yeah, I may have to try to find it and binge it one day and stuff.
mhm. I mean, like it to me, it just like the way they came out, the way they acted for the character just was like wow. And the more in depth to it was, and you got to see how they transitioned into that character and
Mm,
why. Um, and I even met the Bruce Wayne in person. The the young boy.
mm-hmm.
I think he's David, right? I'm trying
David,
to.
yeah, I think it's because you're talking about like the
Whoa, hello. Because when they have it's two names like that. It's like, wait, what did you do? Let's see, David. Where's this picture? Yep, it is. David. Oh, I'm gonna mess up his last name. I do apologize if he hears me. David Mazouz, I think. But I
mhm,
met him in person. He is a sweet boy. He's enjoyed making. He said he loved being Bruce Wayne. He said it was like a dream come true, and he felt like he understood Bruce Wayne more just
mhm,
because he was the character, and it was really cool because his mom was there with him with her dog. It was so cute. But it was at the Wizard Con when I was in um, Winston Salem,
mhm,
and we were there and we had a table, as you know, when we were still with the Bonaventure. Just so everybody knows, I'm with the Starfleet Fan International, well, Starfleet International Fan Association. At the time, I was with the Bonaventure, but now I'm with USS Serenity. But USS Bonaventure, we went to Wizard World Con, and he was there, and also the actor who played Penguin. It was amazing to talk to them. It was just get their insights, and they're both really sweet.
Mhm.
And it was just exciting too, because I'm like, yes, got them. Oh, and the one who plays the butler too. And now my brain went, Butler's name is.
Well, I met the guy that played Penguin, Robin. I
Mhm.
met him in at Dragon Con a few years back, and he's really was a nice person to talk to and kind of
Funny too.
hear. Yeah, and so like I said, they did some really good casting. I wish I had seen more of that. Like I need to go back and watch like past rewatch seasons 1 and 2, and then watch the rest of it too, and kind of
Oh
see
yeah,
where it ended up and stuff. Because yeah,
there's so much.
might be a good binge for me to try to do 1 week.
But yeah, I enjoyed him for the Bruce Wayne to become Batman. He was the young Bruce Wayne.
Hmm.
He wasn't Batman yet, you know, but
We you get
bringing
him
him
with
in is,
Raja Ghul and all of that stuff, like all of that, like
oh my gosh, that
right?
storyline was like bam.
Yeah.
I mean, because that stuff was also in the comics and the cartoons, and it's like we get to see it coming to life, and it's dark and it's pretty at the same time. But yeah, this would not be for young kids. I will say that, especially when we get the Joker from that coming into play. Ta-da! Um, Cameron Monaghan. Um, oh yeah,
So
he
did he
has
end up?
the
He ended up
ring.
being. So he did end up being Joker. They were like when I was still watching it, they weren't sure if he was going to be Joker or Two Face or where he was going to end up being, which character he was going to end up being.
Uh, well, there's two of them.
Oh,
I will say, as it says down here, Jeroen has a twin brother, Jeremiah. But one of them do because, well, one of them starts to become the Joker, and one of them is actually becomes the Joker.
okay.
But I'm not going to go any further with that because that's a spoiler. But
And I'll tell you one of the things I thought was so funny because with the Gotham, like the
Mhm,
copyrights and all the stuff of who can use what, it was so funny because they never used the names that we would know them. Like Batman was never Batman; he was always Bruce Wayne.
mhm.
And still, even when he was like, they never said Batman. Like you wouldn't,
Oh yeah.
it was kind of that thing. It was just understood. You just kind of winked and nodded that you knew what was going on. And the same thing with the Catwoman character and the Harley, I mean, not Harley, Poison Ivy, and a lot of those characters. Like you kind of got the wink and the nudge, but we can't really say their name. So
Mhm.
when I stopped watching, they hadn't really kind of revealed exactly who he was going to end up being. So it's interesting to see that.
But I will say this: he was Joker. Like, I mean, he was the going into becoming Joker. It's it was just the things he did made me think of the Joker we grew up with.
Hmm.
The games, the and also how he his traps, how he trapped people, because Joker was not just funny and
He
dark
was
or evil. He was also smart.
Yes,
He was that
he
evil
was the
smart.
evil genius.
Yes, the evil genius. And he portrayed it really well. I was like, wow. But yeah, it does take twists and turns before you're like, oh, that's the Joker. Okay. He became Joker, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, it was, in my opinion, he did really well, especially for the becoming of Joker.
Mhm.
Even though the storyline's different from Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, it
Mhm.
still had that why it happened, and it made
You
sense.
had the back, yeah, you had the background, you had the build up to know it wasn't just
Yeah, it wasn't just, oh, I'm gonna
just
be
evil
Joker.
for evil's sake. There was a progression there that got to a breaking point.
Oh, really? Flashpoint. Aren't they trying to do? Yeah, the Flashpoint movie. Are they going to do that? I wonder. So in Flashpoint timeline, where young Bruce dies, his father becomes Batman, his mom becomes Joker. Wow, a female Joker.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting to see. I wonder if they're going to do it in the movie, though.
The good thing about like the Flashpoint stuff is you can do just about anything because you get to have all these different versions of it. So
Oh
why
yeah,
not
so
just
many.
throw it out there?
So yeah, it's but he this is definitely a dark version. Like I
But yeah,
think slightly
Joker's a dark
darker.
character, so you're gonna have to
Yeah.
have that.
Oh, that's true. Definitely. But I enjoyed it. I recommend people trying it out because it's definitely fun to watch. I
I'm gonna try to find where it's streaming and put it on my to watch list. So you've convinced me to give it go back and give it some more love.
Yeah, you have to go further just to see the transformation in general of everyone. It just kind of makes you go, "Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
that's why."
Yeah.
Everybody, like you think somebody's dead and they're not, and you're like, "Oh my god, what happened?" We and Arkham comes into play a lot too, which in some of the movies and other places they didn't bring it up, and I was like, there's an Arkham.
Oh yeah, like they had. I mean, I know. I think the second when the second season, I stopped. Like they did a lot of their storylines in Arkham because you had like their Doctor Strange. What's his name? Thing there. It's so weird too because Doctor Strange in DC is a bad guy, and Doctor Strange in Marvel's a good guy.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Strange.
But DC and Marvel is supposed to be two separate anyway, so even though don't they have crossovers sometimes? Or I don't know if they
I
do.
think they've done some a little bit in the comics,
Yeah,
not
I remember
a
the
lot.
comics, but I know
Yeah,
for a
not a
fact
lot.
on shows.
I don't think we're getting anything anytime soon. Like
Hmm.
unless Disney buys DC too, which they could.
Okay, and of course we have Batman, Ben Affleck.
No.
No, he wasn't my favorite at all. He didn't even scream Batman to me. He could Bruce Wayne maybe, but even Bruce Wayne just didn't feel right to me.
I thought I liked him okay as Batman. I think he was supposed to be playing the old man Batman, like the old grizzled, war torn, tired of losing friends, tired of battling Batman. So I bought that. I didn't. He wasn't my favorite Bruce Wayne in there, and again, I think it was a storyline. I think if they had if we'd had a different storyline to introduce him and get him on a better start,
Yeah.
so many people hated that Batman versus Superman storyline, which is in the comics, and
It is,
yeah, it's in the
but
comics, and it's a big part of the comics. There's always been a struggle for Batman. I mean, eventually we get to where we get with the movie of Batman and Superman working on the same team and being together, but in the comics and a lot of the stuff, there's a struggle for Batman to be like, but what if he turns evil? But what if he goes bad?
yeah.
What are we gonna do if this good guy isn't good anymore or gets turned? And we see that with some of the red kryptonite and some of the different things where it touches on some of that. So I buy the storyline. I think it is a weird place to start and jump into the story. So I think, and I know it's not even the starting point because you go back to the Superman movie, and that's supposed to be the starting point for the story because this takes place right after it.
Yeah, but
But for the Batman character, I think it was a weird jumping in point. So you have this weird story that's not popular. You have a character who's not seen as popular in the role, who doesn't bring as much to the Bruce Wayne side of it. I think there's just a lot of strikes that kind of get this one behind the eight ball.
I love this. Adam West was on an episode of Big Bang Theory, and I did watch that one.
Yeah,
Actually, I watched all of them. So there was a scene where the guys were talking about different movie Batman portrayals. Eventually, we said, "What's an Affleck?"
yeah. I remember that episode. Yeah.
And he was also saying that he was the only Batman, if I remember. There's only one Batman. No,
Yeah,
I
I think
would.
somebody made a comment like because you in the Batman versus Superman movie, you get a glimpse
Mhm,
of Robin's um costume, uniform, whatever, and it's got where the Joker has put the graffiti across it. And if you read the comics, you know exactly what that means. You get that symbolism. But if you're the casual viewer and you don't know that story in the comic books, you don't get that this is a Batman after Robin's been murdered, that he has seen all these things, and yeah, it gets the story gets lost because they don't give enough backstory. So, like, if they had given Batman its own movie, Superman had his own movie, give Batman his own movie, then do it, I think maybe you have a better outcome on Batman versus Superman and people get the story a little better. But I think they banked on people knowing the comic book story more than they should have
man, not
because
everybody does.
their audience isn't always comic book readers who know the history and all the stories.
Hmm. And when you were saying how this one just didn't implement things, okay, this one was all over the place. Number one, um, because they were getting into Batman and then trying to get the Justice League in, and it was just
I will
the
tell you,
whole.
I know. Are we a PG-13 show, or can I get graphic for a minute? Because when Wonder Woman showed up in Batman versus Superman,
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you what, I had some physical reactions in the movie theater.
I was excited when she came in. She was the best character out of all of
Yeah.
them.
That was
Because
the best part of this movie was we got to get introduced to Wonder Woman, and like
Mhm.
at that moment when they look at each other, I thought she was with you. Who is this? I don't know. I thought she was with you. Like that to me is like the perfect moment in this movie, and like for me it will always be a redeeming factor for this movie because it introduced us to Gal Gadot as Wonder
Oh
Woman.
yeah. But as you were saying about this, they rushed it. Like you see Marvel, they keep to the storyline. And then sometimes they have a solo movie to explain things. This one doesn't do that. It's like they rushed into it. Like when they went from, Justice League, then there was like the Batman versus Superman. I was like, okay, that was too soon. That I mean, because you want to, it's supposed to lead up to it, like how they became Justice League, and then how their relationships are when they're fighting together, and all that. But for some reason, they just pulled everything apart, threw every which way, threw it all together in a blender, spun it around, and said, "Here you go.
Let's
This is
throw
our."
it together. Let's see what sticks, and we'll
Yeah.
build our own universe with it. Versus
Mhm.
taking time and really putting it together and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I don't think that Ben was the worst Batman ever. I think he was not set up for success.
Correct. And honestly, as you were saying before, he's a good Bruce Wayne, and I could see him as being the Bruce Wayne leading the next Batman, but not be Batman. I think with all the other Batmans, we had that in play too as certain ones, but he was more of the older Batman. Yeah, he was tired of stuff, but when Batman versus Superman happened, he wasn't that old yet.
But it's
So
about the character he's playing and like where the storyline is. He's supposed to be old, grizzly Batman of like, I've been through all of this and all this has already happened. And you're coming in after the Superman movie that was, and that's another thing. The Superman movie that was supposed to be the lead in for this had been several years before. So a lot of people had forgotten about it. Like, oh, wait a minute, we're picking up right at the end of that movie where like the Kryptonians were fighting and destroyed the city and all this stuff. So, you know, it doesn't do a good job of taking you where it needs to take you. It just drops you in the
yeah.
middle of the storyline and expects you to figure it out yourself.
And for
And
those
that's
who,
hard to do for people who aren't like if you're not
yeah,
avid into the comic books and know that storyline or avid into the movies and researching and knowing some of that stuff. It's a hard place to jump off in and to just kind of throw you into the storyline and stuff.
oh yeah. So it was as you said, it was one of those where If you did not know the comic books, watch the animation, know about Batman and the storyline, you're gonna be lost. You're gonna
Yeah.
be like, why? How? What's
Like,
going
why Batman
on?
and Superman are fighting? I don't under, and that's what a lot of the critics panned, and a lot of people were like I thought the whole thing I heard, a lot of people were like the whole Martha thing. Martha, we get his name. They're both moms named Martha,
Yeah.
but that was a huge part because that was that moment that brought him back to his humanity. That was like, oh, wait a minute, he has a mom too,
Yeah.
and saying her name, and for her to say, it it had an emotional connection if you know the rest of the story. The problem is you don't have enough of the story for that to make sense. They're just banking on you
I don't think
having
I've
that.
seen their live action. Hold on. Making sure I got all the live action Jokers in. Yep, we did. So there's no more Jokers. But this one came up and I did not see this yet. So did you see this? Titans premiere.
No, I
One of
haven't seen the.
Superstar.
I know what it's talking about, but I haven't seen any of it yet. So,
I want to see it. I'm curious. Even
but
though,
I'm
oh,
gonna, I'm gonna say if we should give Kevin Conroy a call out because he did play a live action version in the. I know we're sticking with live action, and he
yeah.
played a Batman version in the Arrowverse crossover this year. So
Mhm.
for that
Love
reason, he's gonna get into this live action, and I'm gonna just say he's the
that.
freaking best Batman character out there as far as like he is Batman. Like I know it's animated, I know it's video games, it's voice work, but oh my gosh, is he a genius? And to get to see him be Mecha Batman in the crossover was like it was one of the greatest things ever. I'm just gonna say that on
I
record
do
that
love
Kevin
the
Conroy,
crossovers myself. They are so fun to watch. Can't wait for the next one. And
and they
now
do
we
it
have
every year, so it's awesome.
Batwoman and what's his name? Shoot, the electricity guy. I haven't watched the series yet, but I know I need to catch up on that one.
Are you talking about?
Um,
Because they introduced Stargirl this year. Are you talking
oh
about
yeah,
Stargirl?
Stargirl. Well, Stargirl's new, but the series. Oh, not. I'm not going to say Static
Oh,
Shock
Black
because then
Lightning. Are you talking about Black Lightning?
Black Lightning. Yeah, he was in it
Okay.
too, and I was like, that is so cool. So I need to definitely get into that. Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Agreed. Kevin Conroy is man for bats.
He is, and I mean, just there's
Mhm.
so much that he's in, and he's just great. Like, I mean, oh my gosh, I just love
Yeah.
him enough. Like,
He would be actually good if they ever did this series where um he's the older Batman and he brings up the
yeah.
new Batman. But
And
yeah,
that's
I
kind
need
of
to
what he
see
did in the
that.
crossover. He was kind of like he was old. He was Mecha Batman because he was old and like his body had fallen apart, so they had replaced it with all machinery
Yeah.
type thing and stuff.
And he was bitter. But he's also a voice actor for Batman the animated series, which
Yep. Oh, he's in the animated series. He's in the video games. He's oh my goodness, he's everywhere.
he
And then
definitely has a jawline for Batman Robert Patterson. I just noticed that. I'm like, that's that's a good jawline right there.
you know what? I hope he surprises everybody. I hope he comes out and nails it, and it's amazing because I want a good Batman movie, and I hope he can bring it. And like I said, from my understanding, it's supposed to be set
The
in more of
noir
a noir type setting and
yeah.
stuff. So I think he can do it. I'm gonna be optimistic and say I think he can do it. I'm interested to see where they take the story.
As I said, definitely gonna watch it because I'm like you. I do not go in, already deciding, oh, he's gonna suck or anything. I'm gonna go in, be like, okay, let's see how it goes. Let's decide from what I see how I like it or not. Um, and then we could decide if he's top or still at bottom from that point. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's just so many Batmans and Jokers, right? More Batmans, of course. We need another. We need to get another Joker in too. I wonder who the bad guy is going to be in this one, though.
I like it when they do some of the different bad guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Joker and Catwoman, and I love your like your typical villains and stuff. But Batman has such a cast of villains they could pull from.
Yeah, yeah. Patterson was good in Goblet of Fire.
Yeah,
I'm willing to give it a chance too. As I
yeah.
said, there's also a new movie on Netflix with him and Tom Holland that I want to watch to see how he does too. Because the
And
more you see somebody being able to play other characters and they're good, and you don't think of vampire, glittering vampire, you know,
I, what is
I
that?
think that's a
I
good
gotta give
sign.
him props. And I gotta give him props and give him some optimism, just because Hufflepuff for life, man.
Right.
Hufflepuff for life. I am a Hufflepuff, so I've gotta represent. But
I did
there's
the
another action movie with him that's out. It was supposed to be at the theaters, and they didn't release it at the theaters. I think it's like you can rent it on Amazon and stuff like that. But I can't remember the name of it. But it's another action movie and type stuff, and he plays like a FBI cop type role type thing. So I mean, I give him a chance is what I'm going to say. Is like, we don't know what the story is going to be. We don't know what it's going to be yet.
and he's older now. He's transitioning into his acting. He's trying out these new roles.
And I know he worked, like they said, he worked with a trainer to get in, different shapes. So he's not going to, because that would be my biggest thing is like, how is skinny, like he's little, like skinny. How's he supposed to be the bat? Like he's had to kick everybody's butt. How is he supposed to do that? Right. I'm trying to look up the name of that movie I was talking about that was supposed to be out where he's.
Yeah, let me look at the one.
Tenet was the one I was thinking about.
Okay.
It's the new one from oh gosh.
Oh, this one's called The Devil All the Time.
Huh?
The Netflix one is The Devil All the Time, it's called.
The one I was thinking about is Tenet. It's Christopher Nolan's new movie that he's in.
I saw that. Yeah,
and I was trying to see.
Check on that one too.
I was trying to see if I could find like just an overview. All right, Tenet is an upcoming spy film written, produced, and directed by Christopher Nolan. It is a co-production between the United Kingdom and United States and stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson. It goes through a bunch of people in there. It's supposed to come out in September. I don't know if that'll get pushed because of where we're still in, but it's like they go through this special training to become this super level spy and stuff. So I don't know. I think we give him a shot. I mean, I guess they're giving him a shot no matter what we say, but like I'm there for it to see. I hope it does well. I hope it's well received.
Same here. It would be awesome. And then of course, well, we do need to see how this one is before we make any more comments. But yeah, we're giving it a chance, people. I recommend everybody give it a chance.
Just go see it.
If you don't see it in theaters, at least wait till it's on video and give it a chance. Because I know some people who are like, I'm not going to pay for that. Well, wait till it's wherever it comes out.
Well, I'll tell you, we joined in. This is definitely not sponsored, but I'll just put a plug in for it just because I think it's amazing. Once the theaters open back up, we were doing the Regal Unlimited pass where you pay one fee a month and you can go see as many movies as you want. And by the time it's like $19 a month, $19.95 a month, and you can see as many movies as you want. You go to 3 movies you've paid for. You go to 2 movies you've paid for it because you can go anytime and you can buy your tickets in advance for advance showings and stuff. So my husband and I both had done that, and we were doing that, and my cousin and we go see movies a lot with had done it. So we were taking a chance on a lot of movies because we're like, well, why not go see it? It's unlimited. So we went and saw a bunch of stuff that we would not have paid to go see otherwise. But we found some really kind of cool gems that by doing that. So, just a thought.
I want them to mess with his backstory and have young Bruce get raised in England before coming to save Gotham. That way, Patterson doesn't have to fake an American accent. Hey, he might be good faking an American accent. Some of them
what they could do is keep the story the same, but send him to British boarding school so that he comes back with a British accent. So that way he's still from Gotham. We keep the basis of the story the same, but we explain the British accent without him having to do. I will say that's one of the things I hate is when they try to do really bad accents and stuff, and it's usually bad Southern accents. It,
Yeah, Southern accents, um, they don't always come out good. I'm
well,
okay with it, but I went from living in New Jersey, having a northern accent, coming down south, getting a bit of the southern accent because I was only 12 when we came down,
uh-huh.
and then it's now kind of mixed. But I could bring out the southern every now and then. More
Hey,
northern though comes out.
one of those movies I was talking about, we kind of went and saw just to kind of see, but probably went was Knives Out, which is a really good.
Oh, I liked it.
It's a good movie. But one of the things that it's different in there, and I'm trying to look up his name. I can't remember the guy. Daniel Craig with a thick, thick Southern accent. It is just so strange, but it works in this movie because it adds
Oh
to the
yeah.
character he's playing because he's this over the top detective anyway.
Hmm.
So it works, but it was so weird to see James Bond with this thick, thick Southern accent.
Oh yeah.
It was just strange. But I recommend Knives Out. I know it's off topic, but it's worth a watch. Go see it.
Oh yeah, it is good. I watched it. Um, and it does have twists, but it's kind of interesting how
I
they
love that
go.
about me. When I don't like if halfway through the movie I've already figured out the ending, I'm like disappointed. So I like a movie like Knives Out. I did not see that ending coming.
I didn't
I
either.
I
I
did
had
not see
no
that coming, and
idea.
I was just like,
Hmm.
what? What did you do? What? And it just
Blew our
yeah,
minds.
it was just a little like, but in a good way. In a good
Yeah,
way. Like I said, you just don't see the ending coming that you get, so you love it. Like you're on the edge of the seat, and I love when that happens. So.
me too. Now, in regards of Batman's, who would
Mhm.
you say is your number one?
Do I get to have Kevin Conroy in this, or do I have to pick from strictly live action?
It's live action, and
Strictly live action. Okay, then I'm gonna have to go with Keaton as my number one. I'm gonna have to put Keaton as my number one guy
I
for
make
Batman.
Keaton's mine too.
I just oh my goodness, and like yeah, I just love him. I just think, and I know it wasn't perfect. I know it wasn't. It's not the best, but it was for me. It's really like when I think of Batman, I go to Michael Keaton.
Same here.
Is
Like
that
Michael Keaton, just wow! It blew my mind away because he could do both so well after being known as Mr. Mom.
or even if you look like Mr. Mom, Beetlejuice, like I mean,
Yeah.
just he has like a wealth of character. Like I mean, he does
Hmm.
have a lot of characters, and he does them all so well. So yeah.
And
So
he
you're
did
thinking
that.
Keaton's yours too?
Oh yeah, he's definitely mine too. Because looking at all the others, um, as I said, with him, this one he was Bruce, definitely the young Bruce Wayne. But if we're going with Batman, the Batman is definitely Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm. And like somebody in the comics just mentioned, like if they had the movie tech, like because you are thinking like Michael
Yeah.
Keaton's doing this back in the '80s. Like if we had some
Right.
of the special effects now and had him do it, like yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean
They
you could
had the
definitely do
voice
that.
back when Keaton was Batman. That would be a great movie.
And I know that he's already signed on. He's going to be doing something in that new Flashpoint movie when it comes out.
I'm
So
excited for
I'm,
that. I'm
I'm
like,
excited to see what they do with
finally.
him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it kind of hurt my heart when I saw him showing up in Marvel movies. I mean, he did great, and I was all for him being there. But it also my DC love was a little like, wait a minute, why is our DC guy over there in the Marvel movie? So it's
Yeah.
nice that they're going to bring him back for Flashpoint movies and
Well, he
see.
only did a bad guy, so it was
But he did
different.
a great back. He did a great bad guy.
Oh yeah, he did. And it reminded me of kind of he did that other movie called Bird something or
Oh yeah, Birdman or
Birdman.
Bird,
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that because in that movie he was kind of mentally out there too.
yeah.
All
So
right, so we got
see,
our Batman. How about the Joker?
all right, you go first this time. Who's your Joker?
Oh my gosh, it's between two, honestly. 'Kay, well, remember he's the young Joker, so I don't know if I want to put him in the screaming, but it's like Nicholson and Phoenix are both so good, but
Okay.
it's like they're different. So I'm trying to debate which one. Hmm. Mm. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Jack Nick. Like I enjoyed Jack Nichols, but I have to admit Phoenix blew it out of the water. I
Mhm.
think I have to go with Phoenix because I want to see him more and see him with a Batman.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm gonna ask the same thing. I can't pick Mark Hamill. I gotta pick live action, huh?
Yeah.
I love Mark Hamill in the animated and the video games,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna agree with you too. I think we agree on both of these because I would say Joaquin Phoenix is my Joker too. Then
Mhm.
because I just think he did such a great job in developing the character and stuff. So I'm gonna say that's my favorite role too. Although Jack Nicholson is a strong second, but I
Yes.
know we wanted to try to do different universes so that we could talk about them being together. But
Yeah, and look at the Ryan Reynolds was Green Lantern and Deadpool and Deadpool. I think he does better Deadpool.
yeah, I mean, and I totally get what you're saying. Like they switch brands all the time. I'm just
Oh
saying I'm
yeah.
very brand loyal. But
Hmm.
Chris Evans was in Fantastic Four,
Yeah, he
and
was.
then he went over to Marvel and did a much better job and stuff for that. So
Flame
they
on.
they definitely got to find the role that fits them. But
Yeah.
I and I like I said, I even said Michael Keaton made a great bad guy for the movie. It's just I was just like, wait a minute, he's not supposed to be there. But that's my own personal DC thing.
So, what do you think about if these two met?
Oh my goodness, that would be whew.
Intense. It
That,
would be amazing to do.
I honestly I don't know that honestly I don't know if Keaton's Batman could have dealt with Joaquin's Joker. I think he might have just been too over the line, over
No,
too
yeah.
evil. I think he was too far gone. So
Mm.
I don't know though. I mean, Keaton does such a great job
Yeah.
that in there.
Well, the way I look at it too is, in right now with all the Batmans, I think he would do better than the others to a point. Um, other
And
than well,
I just the
Pattinson.
comments and stuff. I know Fantastic Four is Marvel. I'm just saying finding the right actor for the right role because he was in
Oh,
there in Fantastic Four, and then we see him later in a different role where he's a better suited character and stuff. But yes, Fantastic Four is Marvel.
but I mean, other than he might have to get his own Batman that fits him more. I wonder what Robert Pattinson would be like. But yeah, it's these two are the top, but it's like, would they be able to interact? Mm.
Yeah, and I mean it would be definitely interesting, and I think unfortunately I don't think we'll ever see anything like that with their
Yeah,
age differences and different time settings and stuff of where their characters are. But I don't know. I might give an edge I think I give the edge to Joker in that matchup just a little bit. I don't know.
definitely.
I mean, the
He's
good guy always has to win in the comic book, right?
well, but you have to admit, compared to Jack Nicholson's, who after a while you kind of could read what he was going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what he's going to do next. He
Yeah,
seems so, with his personality, he seems like he's level headed.
yeah.
But bam, he could switch on you in an instant.
Well, like you see, like in one of the scenes in the movie, like where he's at the talk show with
Oh, yeah.
that scene and stuff. Like he go like you don't see that coming. Like
No, no.
I'm trying to avoid spoilers for anybody that might watch this on the rewatch that hasn't watched the movie, but you don't see that coming at all. Like something's gonna happen, but you don't know that's gonna happen. So it's kind of very interesting to see where it goes.
It's definitely a snap. Like you could actually watch him snap even further
Mm-hmm.
in that
Like
scene.
I think in most other representations where you see the Joker, you think he doesn't really want to kill Batman.
Hmm.
He wants to terrorize him, or he wants to torment him, or he wants to corrupt him, but he don't think he really wants to kill him. I think Joaquin's Joker would want to kill him. I get the feeling that would be like they would come to blows in that manner.
Possibly. I think first he'd want him to know who he really is. before he does.
Yeah. Well, that like again, that storyline just for me was so amazing and like
Yes.
unique, and like nobody's ever taken that storyline before. So, like,
We're not trying to spoil it, people, because you
yeah,
have to
I
see
don't want
it.
to get spoilers, but I'm just like,
It's a
was that
twist that
true?
none of
Was
the
that
yeah, it's a twist none of the others did.
yeah? So is it true? Is it part of his imagination? Is it part of his mom's imagination? Is it because like the story they said to kind of dismiss it, a rich millionaire could have paid somebody to come up with that, to cover that up in the hospital records. So you're like, could it be true, even though they said it wasn't true? Or is it really just his mom's fascination? Or maybe is it his own that he came up with when he was in Arkham? Like,
Yeah, he was.
really, like it leaves you a lot of stuff, a lot of room to think about. Like what was real and what was in his head.
I agree on that wholeheartedly. And as I said before, I think the others should have had Arkham in it too. Like
Mm-hmm.
more influences with Arkham, because Arkham was the basis of some of the villains that he was against anyway. And a lot of them had to go back there many times. It's like, yeah, you're not done yet. You need to go back to get fixed.
I want to just say, in every iteration of Arkham, I don't think anybody ever gets better that goes there.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. They might need a medical review. I don't think anybody ever gets better when they go to that place.
Well, like in the Gotham series, they used him to experiment. So it's no
Mm-hmm.
wonder. Um, and then in the other ones, even if they were locked up, I mean, it didn't look like they were actually getting fixed. And then if you think about it, Joker changed. I mean, got one of the psychiatrists to become the wonderful. Uh, then my brain lost its thought. I know it's in here. When you talk so much about one thing, then it's like, wait, I know what I'm talking about.
Oh, and I
Harley
just
Quinn. Duh.
oh,
Yeah, he's the one who twisted Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
Yeah, because she's one of the doctors there in the beginning of the story.
that's
She's Doctor Quinzel, and then she gets
she
flipped.
got
She falls in love with him. So yeah,
she gets
it,
twisted.
but I was gonna give a couple of like shout outs too because I know we were sticking to mostly um the we were sticking with this live action. We talked to a few of the animated, but I did want to mention that because I think you have it pulled up. One of them is from the Lego Batman movie. So you get Will Arnett as the Batman, and you get Zach uh, as the Joker, and that's a pretty cool combination too. That's a whole different take on him. Seeing the Lego movie.
I haven't seen that yet.
So
I
Will
need to.
Arnett does a really good Batman, Lego Batman. Like he's Lego Batman, but he does a really good job, and he's very campy, funny about it because he has the voice and all this
Mhm.
stuff. So it's kind of an inside joke, but you get to be part of. You're on the inside of it and stuff. So
On this one, number one, Mark Hamill. Everybody agrees on that.
I tell you, Mark Hamill does a great. Like I mean, I would love to see him do a live action version, like you said earlier. I think it would
Yes.
be amazing to see him do that, but
Hmm.
I don't know that we'll ever get that, but it would be nice.
Mr. J. Hey,
Hi,
Puddin.
Mr. J.
I love how she's like, "Hi, Mr. J," and all that, and I'm like, "You're so funny." And her costumes, like, there's so many.
Mm.
But it's gonna be interesting, definitely, to see the new Batman they're coming out with. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep hearing about the Harley Quinn cartoon show. I want to watch that. There's so many I want to watch anyway.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, DC
there.
does a really good job with their animated stuff. So
This is so true.
that's why I was saying earlier. It's like I don't think anybody gets better that goes there. They get
No,
worse.
they escape so easily. It's like
Yeah, the security at this place, they all break out all the time. Like poor Batman. No wonder he's up. He's like old and grizzled. He's like having to catch them over and over and over again.
yep, so many different ones. But Oh, when you check out those ERBs I mentioned earlier, I also recommend Superman versus Goku and Wonder Woman versus Stevie Wonder to round out the Justice League. Stevie Wonder, how did he get in there? Yeah, there's as I said, I'm hoping they use Phoenix's Joker for more stuff later on, but I it's possible they're going to come up with new ones too.
Yeah. I think from what I understand, DC is not doing, they're not trying to do the connected universe that Marvel did. They've kind of said we're going to do individual movies and not try to connect them all and stuff. So, which I think is good because it lets them really go tell a whole bunch of different stories, and not having to figure out how to weave them together and stuff. So, I'm kind of interested for that.
Mm.
I'm looking forward to the new Suicide Squad movie. I think that
Oh
I'm
yeah, that's
excited to see that. I love Harley, so I'm there for
I
that. And
actually think they should. Okay, so wasn't the original Birds of Prey have Poison Ivy? Was one of them? They got
no,
killed.
the original Birds of Prey had Black Canary, which you see in this movie,
Yeah.
and it has Oracle, who is Batwoman after Joker shoots her,
Hmm.
and she's in the wheelchair. So you have Oracle, you have Black Canary, and you have in some of the comics you have I'm trying to think of some of the other folks that they have in there. You have Huntress, which you get in the movie.
Hmm.
Um,
But I know, like in the animated and comics, there's also a team with Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Batgirl, and I think there was just three of them. But I don't remember if they had a name. I would like to see that. I think that would be fun because that's when Batgirl, like all of them, started like what was it? They weren't really being bad; they were actually helping, which was interesting. But they were kind of like against men.
they have the kids version, the DC superhero girls, where they're all good and they all work together. Um, where you have a little bit like you can see Harley's struggling to be good, and you see Poison Ivy's struggling to be good, but they all go to the same superhero high school and are working together. And I cosplay the Harley from that series, so I'm not saying I don't like it, but it's very campy and it's very much for kids. I don't know if that's the series you're talking about though, if there's a different series. I'm not familiar with another one that has Batgirl and Harley and out that has the good and the bad guys in it together.
Okay. Oh, here it is. Um, all right. Batgirl helps Harley defeat Riddler after her father hits rock bottom and Batman goes missing.
All right, what's that called?
Trying to see. Uh, I'm trying to see. Oh, Gotham City Sirens.
Hmm.
Let's see. Three of the most popular female villains. Cat. That was Catwoman, Harley Quinn, and Poison Ivy.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so Sirens, I can do that. I was trying to think of something that had Batgirl that would have them in
Well,
there. So I was like,
Batgirl does join them. Well, mostly Harley Quinn briefly, but I don't think they ever came up with a name. But then she went back to being Batgirl because she kind of lost her identity. But it was Catwoman with the ones I was thinking about,
well,
and that was Gotham City Sirens. Um, that's what I was like. That would be cool to see.
and I think they're supposed to be doing something kind of like that with like a movie that's
Hmm.
supposed to be kind of very female character driven type stuff. So
Yeah, as we said, sometimes the females are better. No, I'm just kidding. Wonder
they need it.
Woman. I actually grew up watching the Wonder Woman from the 80s, so 70s.
I do too. I love that. Like I think we talked about last week. I think sometime we need to do a Wonder Woman show, and I owe you guys a spin
Yes,
for all my
definitely.
things.
But yeah, with the Batman and Joker, I'm not. I know there's some agree with us and some probably won't.
Hey,
But
that's thing is we all get to have our opinions, and there's all sorts of stuff out there. So if you don't like one, there's another one out there, and there's going to be more. So
Oh yeah.
more content, the better.
And more like more villains. And that's what I want to see, like the more villains and then all the villains coming together and like in the comics and cartoon. Mhm.
I like because Batman has such. I mean, his Hall of Villains is so. I mean, he has a depth of villains they could pull from. So
Yes.
I kind of hope they take a page a little bit out of Marvel's book and take some time to do some of those lesser known characters and kind of really get to introduce them to an audience and
Yeah.
build on those. Like I have a feeling we're going to see more of the people we've seen just because they're probably a little gun shy right now to jump, try to bring some obscure character in. I don't think they're going out and trying to make a Guardians of the Galaxy like Marvel did, where you pull something completely random out. But I think if you've got a strong lead in Batman, you can pull some of that obscure villain out though, and say, introduce it.
True. That would be fun to see what more comes out because I know there's so many. That's why I loved Gotham too because they had so many more villains come out. Another joke. Which Joker? See another Joker appearance soon. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody other than Phoenix right now that I could think would be a good Joker. Hmm. I can't think of anybody.
That's the good thing about the Joker though. I mean, like they could cast like this time. Well, this time 2 years ago, if somebody said Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, we might have been like, nah, he'll never do it. But then he's like amazing at it. So it's like you really can find some of that to kind of see.
Yeah, that's what we were saying too. Love to see Hamill, but his age may be a factor. But there are even in the comics and the cartoon where one Joker is too old and he has somebody else take his place.
Yeah.
Um, wasn't it one of the Robins went psycho and became almost like him and Harley's son, and they molded him or something at one point? I'm trying to remember
I'm
what
not, I'm
happened.
not. I mean, there may be. I'm not familiar with that storyline, but there may be and stuff.
It was one of the cartoons thing they did. There's so many different. There's so much Red
I
Hood.
somebody in the comments said Red Hood. I was thinking sort of the same thing. Where you thinking maybe Red Hood is
There was another. He's had so many Robins. It's not even funny. Like,
I would tell you though, I would love to see them do a Red Hood story in the movies, and like Jensen Ackles, who does the voice for the character in the animated.
mhm.
I would be there all day for that because I love Jensen Ackles. But
Oh yeah,
speaking of Jensen, did you see he has a new show?
Boys 3. You mean?
Yeah. So
I have to look up his character to see if he was actually
Soldier Boy.
good. Yeah, Soldier Boy. But was he good or was he evil? Or was he like some of the others where they did anything they could for their
Yeah,
medicine?
I think you're gonna have a little bit of like anti-hero kind of hero in that one. So it'll be
Anti-hero.
interesting to see how they do. But
Yeah.
I'm again I'm there for that. I love me some Jensen Ackles.
Well, 2 is
Oh,
about to come out, so who knows how
um
soon 3 will be out.
um we were talking last week, Supernatural's final season. I just saw they were gonna start in October. So we're gonna
Yeah,
get
I heard you.
the last few episodes starting in October so we can kind of see the wrap up for that and stuff. And
Yeah.
I think it's officially done because the guys all have new shows they're going to. We're gonna have Jared is gonna be Walker, Texas Ranger, which
Yes.
to me still seems weird, but I'll give it a
That's what
shot.
it's Yeah, it's oh yeah, as as we were saying about Robins,
Yeah.
forget the third offhand and then Bruce's son. So many of them. But yeah, about Supernatural, I'm excited to see the ending. I'm like can't believe it's not till October 8th, but it's almost September, so it might go fast.
It's gonna go fast. Yeah, like it comes out like right around my birthday, so I'm like, oh, what a great birthday present! Thank you, CW.
Yeah, I know. Chuck Norris is the Walker we know and love, but I want to see what happens
Yeah,
with Nolan.
I mean, Chuck Norris is so iconic, and that role is so tied to him.
Oh yeah,
I wish
definitely.
Jared the best. Like, I hope he does well in it, but I don't know. I can't picture it. I'll watch it. I'll see. I gotta see what happens to Sam, where he goes off, what he does next. So I'll follow him, but
Mm,
I don't know.
mm.
I think the new Jensen's new show I think is better suited for him than the Walker is for Jared, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like, I'm like, okay, so they're both doing these. What
Yeah,
else could they be getting into? Like, I did like Jared as one of my favorite artists. Um, forgot. I'm trying to remember. Hold on, let me bring it up because
and to start just comment there, I don't know what the backstory is going to be like if they're going to tie it into the Chuck Norris version at all, or if they're going to
like
make
that's
it
his
just a
son or
complete
something.
reboot or something. I don't know how they're going to do it, so it'd be
Mm,
interesting to see how
mm.
if they do tie it in or kind of give at least a nod to the Norris version or something.
Well, it would be cool if it's Chuck Norris's son. I'm just saying.
It's a cool storyline, but I don't find it believable that Jared Padalecki is Chuck Norris's son. Like, that's a willing suspension of disbelief there, just for the storyline to make sense.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, here it is.
I like
Thomas.
the idea of Norris having cameos. Somebody put in the comments. Yeah, I think that would be great if you
Oh,
do have. You got to have Chuck at least on the show in some capacity.
I think he said he didn't want a Walker Texas Ranger to be coming out again, but I'll check on that. But the one I was talking about,
Hmm.
Thomas Kincaid, the artist.
Yeah.
Jared was in Thomas Kincaid's Christmas Cottage as Thomas Kincaid. I loved that movie. It was so nice. So let me see how we're going into that. I want to check it. Check Norris.
Yeah, I don't know if he would be game for it. I just think it would be a cool. I always like that cool nod to the when something comes before you that you're accepting that they they set there wouldn't be a thing for you to create if that thing wasn't already there. So I just think it would be a cool nod if they did.
Yeah, I was trying to see. I thought Chuck Norris said something. Well, maybe he hasn't said anything yet. But they are talking about trying to get him in for it's a reboot. It's actually a reboot.
It's gonna be a reboot.
Yeah. They're saying it's a
Well,
reboot.
they could still find a way to work him in. Like he could be like, and from
Mhm.
one of the other. He could be a law enforcement officer from one of the other. What did they call him? Like not a Texas Ranger, but he could be just like a sheriff or a deputy or something from
Right.
another law enforcement agency in the area. So, or he could just be a guest shot on the thing. So there's a lot of ways they could work him into the storyline. But
But I haven't heard anything from what Chuck Norris himself has thought about it.
yeah,
I thought somebody said that he said he didn't think they should bring it back, but of course, as I said, I tried looking up and I don't see it.
so you
So
think,
it might have been just somebody saying that to
uh,
stir something. Who knows?
I was like, you're gonna mess up too much with Chuck, right? You're gonna isn't he like supposed to be like the big baddie?
Mm.
He can karate chop you.
Oh, and those memes and the shirts and everything are still out there for Chuck
Oh
Norris.
yeah, like there's every stuff
And they
everywhere.
make they make new ones when new movies and things appear too. Which is awesome, I think.
I was trying to see. Okay, I was trying to see if I could find anything real quick. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything either to kind of say if they've even asked him or anything. Yeah, I don't think there's any. He hasn't at least publicly said anything.
Yeah.
It did say, I did find out it's a reimagining that seems to ignore what allowed the original to endure for 8 seasons.
Mm.
That doesn't sound good, but anyway. It won't star Chuck Norris, is clearly a loss. The original Walker, launched in '93, leaned heavily on the stoic bruiser's persona.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see where they go with this new version and stuff. But
I agree.
I'll at least watch an episode or two, see what it's like.
Hmm. But again,
My,
as we were talking about, um, definitely when the new one comes out, the new Batman will definitely share our thoughts on that.
yeah,
But
hopefully we won't have to wait too long. Hopefully this pandemic will go
yeah,
away. We'll find a cure. We'll all be able to get back out and see each other and go to movies again soon. And
yeah.
hopefully we'll get back to some semblance of normalcy.
And hopefully it's not like the Spanish flu. But they're saying it might be if people don't adhere to things. We'll see. I've definitely been adhering. I've stayed indoors mostly than more than anything, unless I have a doctor appointment. But yeah.
I work from home now. I go into my office like once a week, maybe, just to do some stuff because all my files are there. So I have to go. I go in once a week and do stuff there that I can only do there. But even there, it's like there's nobody around. Like it's a ghost town. It's so weird to be in that big building and like hardly like there's a handful of people, if that. And like I literally go in, go to my office, shut the door, and work. And like I see maybe one person on the way in. It's so weird.
Mm, yeah, I could see that happening. Okay. About, I'm about to share something quick before it's time for us to do it 10. Let me just make sure I got the right one. Because then I could also show you. Let me get that. I always make forget. You know when you have too many things to go into now. I'm typing too fast. I stop hiccuping. Okay, so it's slowly coming up. Okay, so let me get back to. All right. So 2 more minutes left. Want to give everybody some information. Of course, with Fusion Radio, we have our merchandise. I'm wearing my DJ logo right now, as you can see on a t-shirt. I also have a face mask. But we now also have all right, so this is our T Public storefront. We have all the DJs that are well live or going live. And then of course we have Fusion Pop t-shirt. So you if you enjoy the podcast, I want to help advertise. There it is. And of course, we also have the logo for the radio station, all the DJs so far. And I mean, it's if you love it, help support us. Oh, two sold. Who else got a t shirt? I'm curious now. I know he got two. Oh, wait, no, no. Two sold, meaning the face mask and the t shirt, I think. But yeah, two. I mean, they're out there right now. They're on sale. I think 35% off. So that's where you could go.
Nice.
Of course, there's also we have Oh my gosh, my nose is now itching. Bear with me. We now have, we now have that, but we also have, of course, YouTube, where you could, if you missed out on this, you could go ahead and stream it. Also, check out our first episode when we went over Netflix shows we loved to binge.
Mhm.
And of course, we don't have the theme for next week yet, but we will inform you when it comes closer. But this is, we're also going to have a Patreon for um, Fusion Pop as well. So keep tabs on that. And until then, anything you want to say, Nancy, to say goodbye?
No, no, everybody has a good night. And are you still going to be broadcasting it on the radio station on Thursdays?
Oh, yes. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. I'm broadcasting it on the radio station, and it's fusionradio.org. So if you want to listen in just to listen instead of just watching a podcast, you could also hear it there.
All right. Awesome.
So, but we will see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So you guys have a wonderful evening and enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.